What on earth is that big black lump over there? That fascinating thing is called a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly quick. Wizard! Oh, wizard is my favorite British slang. I love wizard. Wizard as a term to describe something as cool. That's wizard, mate! Okay, the adventure of the clouded KOKORO. Well, we're back here. At least we don't have to plead our case, right? We did what he asked. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh! No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case? Already? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? Well, just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer because he's back on trial? Sorry? Ooh. Oh, whoa, what? I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be that he would be back and we'd do another trial with him. Magnus McGill had passed away immediately following the trial. I don't understand what happened. How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. While the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. The police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGill. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGill did mention going back to the courtroom to look at the omnibus. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. And the trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow then? Yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. And on one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo, there's something I should like to ask you. Yesterday you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing? Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. Something very important I have to do. Something very important? And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he'd ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what's this all about? I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. Look at this bird-like fella. Look at this Watson. Does he have frickin' chips? I mean, to be fair, that's a mood. Is that fish too? Unlimited fish and chips? How he do that? Yeah. Lovely weather, isn't it? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know. I'm a busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here to give the likes of you a talking to. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying, Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And then all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard. You've never heard of Japan? Hear that ripping sound? That's the reputation at the yard going to... my reputation at the yard going to tatters. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It's unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable! How did she pull that off? The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson. What's the matter with Sasato-san? Does the detective's name mean something to her? You're acting like you know this man, Miss Sasato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him very well, in fact. He features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it's not. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head, stuff like that. I'm sure that's what they're saying, as sure as eggs is eggs. Well, eggs are eggs. So, about the case the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. A young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Barrick von Sykes. Yeah, we beat him once, but in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. I was gonna say that's not the case, but our dude died directly after. We should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Sykes, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. What are you saying? Look, if Van Sykes could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. Alright, well, I've filled you in as requested, and I'm very nearly out of chips. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place. That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. I'm gonna start by going to the prison. Oh, frick. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon. Yeah, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop hiding at the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat? As yet with no name? Calling me by a number, it's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. I have no idea who this guy looks like. That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Look at his big ol' eyes. Excuse me, but who? Shh! Quiet. What are you doing? They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you who exactly... There you are. You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost. Oh, my man's tweaking. We mean you no harm, prisoner-san. Are you... Japanese by any chance? Oh. His eyes unclouded. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and yet here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing those streets, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. You're weird, buddy. You're very strange.
What compassion my fellow countrymen show to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon!
A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here.
I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably notoriously named Natsume. Soseki Natsume.
Soseki Natsume, yeah, what an unusual name.
Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see.
Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government?
Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study in English. First, I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale!
Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here?
No! I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course.
Oh.
But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it. No!
What do you mean?
If they told me to study English literature, that I could understand. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable.
Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san?
I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder.
Murder?
Oh, no, it's all right. That woman didn't actually die, but she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes.
Before your eyes? Or before your eyes, you mean saw the attacker?
I didn't see anyone. It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodging. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I was to overtake her, she suddenly let out a scream and collapsed under the cold hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there, so I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings.
Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours?
Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people.
Who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you?
Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul.
No one? Oh, great. How did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place?
It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck.
Accursed great detective.
I shall never forget that man's name as long I live. With his hearty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed busybody, begone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Hairlock Sholmes. It was the morning after the nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was just eating some cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, and there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. The Hairlock Sholmes!
Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable.
Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged the way in. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Finnish foreign flimflammery.
We are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English.
Good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I'd answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, "Yes, I do," and "I'm fine." The next thing I knew, I was in manacles. Before I knew it, I was thrown in here. I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow.
Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself on a study tour.
Oh, a student.
I've defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here.
I know exactly what they're saying about me.
Oh, who do you mean?
The lawyers. All the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me.
Goodness, why do you say that?
For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. So at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue.
Give me a little time, please. We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
This is where it happened. Briar Road. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. You gonna defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper the Bailey, you mean? It is all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. And the only people he usually bothers are the real scum. The master criminals, the violent ones. He handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't have hang for what he's accused of, surely? That's just my point, Sunshine. No, there's gotta be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. It happened at around 5 in the evening 2 days ago, just there on the open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers defending us suspects the odd bit of information to go on. As far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. The precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. Did what? We have 2 very reliable witnesses, no less. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. Oh, yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. That man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite, astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. That man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yeah, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, you mean Mr. Herlock Sholmes? Exactly. Look at those shining eyes. Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are we to just ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again. The trouble is, we have no idea the man's address even. It's Baker Street. I like the random shoe on the fireplace. How nouveau. You okay? Is it, as described in the stories, Mrs. Sato? Sasato-san? I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. Excuse me? Is anybody home? It's a bit weird you just left it unlocked, I'll be honest. Oh, do we have a visitor? Who's this? Is this... Oh,
Hello, is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes?
hello? Wait, Mrs. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here?
Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to visit this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
King of Bohemia?
King Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund von Ormstein, of course.
Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a moment and look over there. There's a sassy lost child.
It's you!
I knew it. Sasato-san recognized her too. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilded's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Oh, yes, it was, challenging.
You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you must have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck.
Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance?
Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
Hurley?
Mr. Sholmes was a passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think?
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes's suite?
That raises many ethical questions.
Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it.
Sussy? And Runo? I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter.
A daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year.
Oh, geez. What of your mother and father?
Oh, no. They're not around. Oh, yes, there's something I must ask you. I'm a very great fan of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and you have a copy of Rance magazine. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world.
My stories?
Last night, he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author. Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm gonna call this latest adventure The Speckled Band. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine.
No, at 10 years old. That's where I draw the line. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean?
Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know about all that? Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin.
Yo, goggles on.
Iris Wilson is proud to present her Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber.
But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed a passport and a travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh!
So I was reasonably confident you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with a suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. Wow! Huh! I didn't think that would be a... Yeah, that's a thing they do. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see.
But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who'd been bawling and trembling.
What a scamp!
The Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsume. Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it's clear to me they both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion that those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct?
They were spot on.
This really is very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. Hurley uses great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Hurley says that London is rife with crime.
Oh.
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it apparently. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person.
Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. It's been very informative.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment?
Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson while you were there?
Yeah, we know Inspector Gregson.
Oh, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this for me, would you?
What is this?
A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems.
We're literally bribing him.
Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment?
I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure.
We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson.
What? For me? From her ladyship? What? What was that coin exactly? It's an appearance fee, that's what it is. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me every time. So, what do you want to know then, eh?
We'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garadeb. Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes. But don't worry, Inspector. We will. Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship.
Interesting decor. Hello?
May I help you?
Yes. Would this be the residence of Mr. John Garadeb?
Indeed it would be, sir. And who may I say is calling?
My name is Rinosuke Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo's representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here.
One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garadeb.
That was a real-life English maid. I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff.
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garadeb will see you now.
Good day to you. John Garadeb at your service. No, excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of my wand, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings.
No doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal.
No, it was nothing. The medal is just folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the... Oh! Dash it all, woman, be careful.
Oh, silly me. I do beg your pardon, sir.
You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands.
I shall be more careful, sir.
Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Oh, yes, the Japanese chap, only been lodging here for a week. I have 2 lodgers most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. They've been...
If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a steady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble, and he never so much as passes time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots out to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed too. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed around 9 each night. But I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning.
I understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house. Is that correct?
That's right, yes. They're both below us on the first floor and street level.
Then how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example, even the times they go to bed. Something doesn't add up here. Seems the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then?
Such as?
Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated.
Well...
Yes, was there something then?
Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but around the time...
I'm awfully sorry, sir.
I don't trust her.
If I may, Mr. Naruhodo, I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour, nothing at all.
Oh, really? Mr. Garadeb? When you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been something, a little something.
Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just a trifling matter, really, nothing more. Well, yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal. Joan?
That's right, Mr. Garadeb.
Would it be alright if we also had a look around in Mr. Natsume's room, I mean?
Huh? Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs.
Of course he has cats. Well, let's go to the desk. Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a secondhand bookshop. Your books. Oh, yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it, look. And the date of purchase. 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Well, hello there, you fop. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Hoo-ha! Ah, you two, good day. Now let me see, where was it that we had met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Buria. Yes, of course, the Buria. And let me see, what happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Sogi. He died tragically, but you were a great help to us. Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh, well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr.
Oh, no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato. I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. We know this to be one of the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Saseki Natsume. It seems you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes.
Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little?
I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean.
What? I can't believe he was looking Susato-san squarely in the eyes while feigning ignorance.
I assure you I'm not merely feigning ignorance. It appears as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriot of the crime. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say?
So, you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit, then?
That I could not tell you, but it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings?
It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British Institution that is the services.
It was the first time I've ever met a maid from the Great British Institution that is service. As you may be well aware, many households in London employ a maid. Whether or not a household employs a maid has come to be to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. I've done some little digging and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Apparently, Mr. Natsume only moved in here about a week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here, a matter not worth of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Ah, you pair again. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what... Oh!
I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir.
Yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave if you'd be so kind.
Sorry. Buddy. What are...
Hoo-ha! We meet again, my dear fellows.
Good gracious, when did you sneak in here?
I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind, Mr. Garadeb. There are two conclusions I've been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements.
I beg your pardon?
The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you.
Mr. Naruhodo, look! The old man's broken out in a cold sweat.
It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on a rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might the beast take? Ah, for a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. No. Frick. Is that his wife? talking about the beast? That's his wife, obviously. Nothing more beastly than a wife, am I right, fellas? The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely, Miss Naharu. No other explanation could possibly fit. The fact remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Garadeb. The chilling trace of a wild rampage are still very much evident.
Well,
Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam?
me?
And pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction.
It is?
Your dress pocket gives a handsome clue as to the beast's whereabouts. We're gonna look and she's gonna have the marriage ring. Yep, right there.
Take that!
I do like hiding elements slightly off camera. That's a fun gimmick. Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives it away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Garadeb's bride in the photographic print. Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmise, this is my wife, Joan. Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Now, Mr. Garadeb, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by the supporting arm. That is not true. I mean, yeah, we can look at this. It's the slap cheek. Yeah, your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by that slap cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refused to fade was you, Madame Joan Garadeb. Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garadeb to fly into a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is the pile of bills. Nope. The bookmark? Ooh, kissy kissy? Ah, someone must be reading a book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, look. Mr. Garadeb is clearly an avid reader. Wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. And look next to the signature here. Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Sasato-san. Oh dear, I'm sorry. This bookmark is actually a love note then. Dang. Yes, it's this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here? Oh! But I don't know the bally woman. You don't know her? The note wasn't written to me. I bought the book at a second-hand place, and that note must have already been in there. And there we have it. Arouse the suspicions of the female heart, and you unleash a beast with the most ferocious bite. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last, unimaginable attack, the aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, dearie me.
What could have been the cause of such a destructive outburst? This time, madame, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eyes settled upon the answer you very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. Okay, so that's not what we want, even though the candle is there. Okay, are we doing the candlestick?
Take that!
We are, okay. Couldn't tell if we wanted that in the carpet. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only a look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. There it is. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks? It would appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Mrs. Garrideb's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of a strike caused a candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds, the carpet was alight, and the whole corner of the room in flames. Yes, the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion or a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see there's but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discourse flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Oh, bro's getting up. Mr. Sholmes, sir? I salute you! Oh my god. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old Styx rage and the raging flames. You paint a torn picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. Had all my favorite novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got a hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. Gosh. And the wife started hurling things at me. There I was, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it all, I lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride. The poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be correct once again. Out of interest, what time of day was that? Not sure, I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think. So at exactly the same time as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Well, I think we've got to the bottom of Mr. Garrideb's situation now. What does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? It is of far greater importance than you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Right, we're gonna go talk to him. It's been a minute. Let's go see him. We've been doing all sorts of investigating. Okay, this is on the way out. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a car... Oh. What's happening? Who are you?
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers.
You're weird. You got a big old chin, buddy. Oh, you calling an old man, you rum-looking nimny-pimney? That sounds like a slur.
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
Who's this Horatio fella, eh? What are you on about? Excuse me?
What the? Who are you now?
I'm sorry, it just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see.
You're a lawyer? What?
If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law.
Fine. I'll be on my way for the day, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why are you just quoting Shakespeare?
Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you?
Forgive the enquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here in the Garrideb residence?
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode.
Mr. Garrideb mentioned he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor?
Ah, yes. A gentleman named Natsume. Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night. So fair maiden, so good gentleman. I can tarry here no longer, fare thee well.
I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. Seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us.
Oh, it's you. You're here. You came. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched.
There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand, oh, it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact.
It's you. The miserable, rotten spy, Herlock Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? Intention of doing anything per se, save observing, of course.
Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous.
Sholmes, why are you lip-syncing? Are you referring to the prosecutor? The Reaper of the Bailey?
The Reaper? Oh, no, what do you mean? Please, tell me, summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words.
No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution, ever.
Oh my goodness, can it really be true that was 16 words exactly?
Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zeeks killed the man? The man isn't a mass murderer, he's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. It couldn't be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. Van Zeeks is quite an exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case, without exception.
That's good.
As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial there is both a judge and a jury. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. However, those indicted by Lord Van Zeeks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking.
Disappear, but how?
By all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever. Perhaps even attacked by highwaymen.
Oh, no.
When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume? You mean to say you believe the place is cursed?
It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain, but I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself. Ever since I moved in that windowless hellhole. My sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I've been choked to death. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Maybe two, from Japan. Can no one find it in his and or her heart to believe in me? Really, no one at all.
Mr. Natsume? If you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you. I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow.
As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue.
Mrs. Sato?
Yes? would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind, but it's time to stop looking backwards. Cosima believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too, so it's time. Time that I learn to believe in myself.